Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Detox, that is Disruptive Talks on Education. And today we have with us somebody very special, that is Cecilia de La Paz from E.Ducate in Uruguay. Welcome to the show, Cecilia. It is such a pleasure having you over with us today. And a little something details about our special guest today, Cecilia, who is basically an entrepreneur, a founder, a consultant, and innovation for equity in education. Cecilia founded Educate Uruguay in 2009, where she was a television producer for UNICEF and met Nicholas, a talented rural kid whose future was constricted because of socio-economic vulnerability, geographical isolation, and low quality education. The NGO is today a well recognized organization for rural school enforcement, reaching to 400 public schools countrywide with innovative projects that impact on children's love for learning and teachers' capacity to deliver high quality education for the whole child. After graduating as a primary teacher in 1988, she started a quest to connect children with learning, and she has done huge work in USA and was in 2001 living in Ecuador. When moved by the harsh reality of their children, she turned her professional journey into a personal commitment to give access to valuable education to kids restricted by their socio-economic and geographical reality. Wow. How can we generate genuine connection between curiosity and how can we generate genuine curiosity, wonder will learn in every school? How can we have pivotal drivers of her creative journey? Her commitment led her to join or fund different organizations using capacity building, technology, and community engagement strategies to create education that Yeah. So her journey has been very, very meaningful. And I now invite Cecilia to speak more about her organization, her journey, and what has been her experiences.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction. Um, it makes me feel a little bit old. I'm gonna cut it next time. It's so many things, and it's an honor for me to be here with you all. Thank you so much for the invitation. Um, and basically, this is a humble journey of an educator, a teacher. I'm a school teacher, trying to connect and reconnect children with the love of learning. And I may say also teachers with the love for teaching. And that has been honestly the journey. And my invitation today is to take you on a journey to my country in Uruguay. Maybe we can share a presentation where you can put an image, so everybody can see on a map where does this uh, country finds itself. It's Uruguay. It's a 3 million country that is very small for India, with a population basically made of European descendancy, from Spain and from Italy. And though we had a very, are you still there? I think we are having some technical problems. I'm gonna wait.
Cecilia, please continue. Yeah, I'm sorry, there's some technical glitch.
Okay. Uh, do you mind sharing the presentation with the audience?
Cecilia,
Yes. So we're
yeah,
gonna
please
see
continue.
now. Yeah. Okay. So maybe the first slide after this one, where you can see Uruguay on the map. There
Yeah.
we go. So we are at the south of the south of South America. As I told you, we are 3 million people. And actually, even though we had had a very strong history of very good education, that has changed in the last 50 years, due to political difficulties here in the country. So one of the main work of the NGO I represent, maybe we can go to the next slide, is basically bring equity, especially to the rural areas, because even though the 42% of our public schools are rural, they only have the 5% um, of the children there. So a lot of the government policies, they don't reach this area, so they're isolated. So we work, maybe we can see the next slide, basically in innovation for transformation of that reality, bringing equity to these areas through three main drivers: the design, the implementation, and the investigation of our practices, but also of government policies to inform where to invest best, and how do children learn best, and how to help the teachers actually to help them achieve further results that what they're achieving this far. So in this presentation I'm going to share today, this is our country. If we can see the next slide, this is our country. All the green parts are where we are at the country, actively. So you can, as you can see, we have in all of our designs a very a big challenge, that it's only not only to be effective but also to be scalable. And that has been part of our DNA from the very start, as we believe in public school, and we want all public schools to succeed. So as we follow to the next slide, just to be very concrete about what we mean by equity and what is our goal, as Anupama shared before, maybe we can go to the next slide. As Anupama shared before, I am part also of other organizations. One of the organization is New Pedagogies for Deep Learning, that it's a global organization run by Joanne Quinn and Michael Fullen. So they have a very we have a very strong relationship between equity and learning outcomes. And we see equity as the quality of human relationships for learning, and the transformative potential that really relies on those exchanges. So we work a lot of what are the exchanges and the relationships inside the human aspect of what happens inside of a school, and how we do that. Maybe we can see the next slide is basically as considering a model based on symmetry. Maybe we can go to the next slide. The next slide is you can see the leaf of a plant. In that leaf of a plant, you can see the symmetry. Anupama, is there a technical issue? There we go. No, the before one, the gel meta one.
Okay.
There it is. As you see in that image, what we work our model is based on the symmetry. The symmetry, what expresses is that if we want transformation happen to the children, we need that same transformation to happen to with the teachers. And basically, there is a very close resemblance, even in the experience we want the children to have, to the experience the teachers are having in the capacity building. A lot of times we see that we capacity build the teachers by telling them how they need to what they need to be able to do with the children, but actually we don't allow them to have that same experience. So there is not an emotional imprint in the teacher where they had fun, excitement, curiosity, collaboration, personal and professional value of what they are learning. But we ask them to be able to achieve that in the children. So through the way we capacity build is by allowing them to have the same experience while they are developing professionally. And that has been one of the things that we believe has made so much impact. So one more, please. This is the kind of place where we work at. We work in places where roads get very tough. A lot of times cars are not able to continue, so they have to change from one method of transportation to the other one to get to the schools. Usually there are
Wow.
12 30 children inside of these schools, and a lot of times the teacher live in the school, because as you see in one of the images, if it rains too much, a lot of times sometimes the river doesn't allow the teachers to get out of the school. So we have usually women that are very isolated and that they work for these children that also live in isolation. So in a couple of minutes I'm going to show you how we turned isolation also into an opportunity. So let's see the next slide, and let's try to focus in the same that happened in India, a very history changing moment that was the COVID in 2020. So when the COVID 2020 happened, what we had to really answer to the question what it is essential to teach, responding to what is essential to learn. And maybe we can go two more slides, because actually a lot of the, I don't know how it was in India, but here some of the policies said we need to keep on doing what we were doing. We need to kind of like a um, don't allow time to pass. And so the reaction we had was to keep on delivering the curriculum, a lot of time not being aware of what we were really going to be able to teach in those conditions, and what we were really going to focus on that really, really, really mattered to the focus, to the future of these children. So what we focused on was literacy, reading, writing, speaking, and especially keeping the conversation going about learning with the children and also with the students. So, what is essential to learn, and what was the opportunity COVID bring us? So, maybe we can go to two more slides, please. These are the children in the different projects I'm going to get into in a couple of seconds, but so you give a sense of what is the relationship in the schools. Those hats I'm going to explain later, what do they mean. Can we go one more slide, please? Just keep in mind this picture. So COVID actually what brought us is a break in time. Time was out of its mind, and it was a very good opportunity to strengthen a culture of teaching that was more about a systemic perspective, understanding improvement in cycles rather than on a straight temporal line. Say, in March, I do this, in April, I do that, in June, I do this, and they're going to be able to, in December, to be able to memorize this and this and that. The time was out of its mind. It totally changed. We didn't know what was going to happen in 3 months. So we had to think in cycles. And that was a very good opportunity because we were not looking anymore on the repetitive, memoristic, but actually it was one of the first times we actually had to see if the children were there, they were showing up, how were their reactions. And that was a very good opportunity to start thinking differently. So, how do you think systemically and how do you turn that into action? So, this is our model of schools transformation. As you see there, there is an axis. Imagine an axis in the middle, and what you see on the right are all the projects that basically touch on science, reading, writing, the oral expression, the use of technology, foster collaboration, etc. That it aims to establish an emotional and effective relationship between the children and the learning. Basically, the two main lessons are: I am capable of learning and I love to learn. And I understand what learning does to me. And then on the other axis, you have all the experiences the teachers will go through this model. That are different sources and types of capacity building, expressions of learning. For example, um, uh, learn through case studies created by you or other colleagues. To practice conversations where international speakers come, but they speak about the different topics you are learning about. It's not about some random abstract thing. And then graduate students of the model that or start to feed in the other teachers about their learning by being also part of international investigation and co-creating with us. So that is a systemic model. Now, how do this we put them, down to earth to everyday practice? Here you have two examples. You see the reading and the writing model. What you see in the reading model, what I brought in was this is the model for effective practice transformation of reading. So you see six circles there. One is motivation, another one is the understanding of literacy, the other is the sharing of the learning expectations, the knowledge about the students, and the partnerships with the students and the families. And if you see the green one, let's just focus on one, you see the learning expectations, this will transform into another piece of work of design that they use in everyday class. That is the assessment strategy. That, as you also see, it's also kind of like in circle or systemic, where you see the writing not as you write well or you write bad, but actually in four different dimensions. The green, the yellow, and the red represents to a character that it's called Alexia. That basically it's all about freedom and creativity and imagination and freedom of speech and stuff. And then the green and the blue corresponds to another character that he's called Olaf, and that he is the one that it's looking for, the dot, the commas, that you write it correctly, the grammar, and blah. What we have found out is that there are a lot of children that are very good in the yellow or the red, and others are very good on the other axis. What you give here is the opportunity for them to situate themselves from their strengths and be able to see the writing also as a process and not as a binary thing. I know how to write or I don't know. I'm good at writing or I don't know. By breaking that cycle, you help the teacher to be much more intentional in their strategies and know the children better. And also, you make the children connect to the writing from a different perspective, from their strengths, and understand what they need to improve. So, how does this look inside of the classroom? We can go to the next slide, please. So this is how actually this looks at inside of the classrooms. And how do this also and wraps there, you see 6 images, 9 images actually, where you see this project even unfolds a little bit more. There you see that they have these bracelets where you see two hands and bracelets. That is when they are one character or when the other character. So for example, in that matter, what we work a lot, it's on feedback. When you have one bracelet, you have to give feedback like you are that character. So if you are being Alexia, you're not being allowed to say, oh, here it's not a coma or something like that. And in your being Olaf, you have to do the other way around. This helps orality. You must bring into words what you already know, and by that, of course, you are reinforcing your understanding of the learning expectation and the process. And then you see us giving also other materials and tailor-made materials that goes in boxes, in books, in different stuff that fits in this model and allow the teachers in their everyday classroom to work with what they are already learning. So the result of this, maybe we can go to the next slide, it's completely different methodologies that start to bring different dynamics and relationships inside of the classrooms. That was one of our objectives for equity, and the teachers start to record themselves and bring that experiences to the case studies where they share this with the rest of the teachers, being them a professional where they have real audiences from what they are doing inside the classrooms. This breaks the isolation, and they give a sense of community, and that what they are doing actually could help other teachers beyond the students they have over there, with very tangible tools. The teachers then learn how to present themselves, also develop oral skills, also develop their capacity to present their knowledge in a different way. And as I was mentioning before, the same experience is happening for the teachers and the children, and this is very powerful. So how do you do this in cycles instead of just a project that starts here and ends here? Maybe we can go to the next slide. One important matter is that everybody that it's involved understands all the steps in the process and where they are at this time, and how they're going to add and contribute to the rest at the end. So you see there the different lines of actions. They are working, one in science, one in reading, one in writing. These are on different provinces, but actually at the end of the day, they all meet together and they share the case studies. And this slide I like a lot, the violet one, because basically we also look for a relationship between what the system is asking for and what the student is receiving. Because in this way, what we do is we tackle the ad hoc projects that the teacher receives a lot. I don't know in India, but here the government wants a project for literacy, a project for science, now a project for technology, a lot of times run by different parts of level of the system. The teacher receives all of that very fragmented, and actually what they do is like, okay, now we work on this, now we work on that, now we work in the other thing. Or the worst scenario, that is, I want to pretend I'm working in this project even though I don't deeply understand what it's doing for my children, and the children kind of like goes along with it, but nobody actually is understanding the whole picture of why they're doing that. So what we do is we connect those dots, so the system is growing as the teachers and the children are growing. So that is the way we have been battling isolation, and that we have been seeing that isolation as an opportunity for change. And I don't know how it's in India, but for here, the community of learning has been pivotal. Beyond what the achievement of each teacher, having a community of learning that it's bringing knowledge and that circulates knowledge in a constant way has been the perfect strategy to keep improving. So when we are going to see now, I think we had a problem with the PPT, but it's coming along. The isolation, we have seen that it's not only the one fact that I am far away from where you are. Isolation is a geographical isolation, intellectual isolation, and emotional isolation as well. There are consequences of that geographical isolation, and we have seen that during COVID strongly. So the opportunity for that basically is that when you have a shared problem like isolation, that when it's stuck in 2020, you also have shared tools. And when you have shared tools, you can multiply the effect of those tools. And in a way, that is what's happening right now with this conference. We have some tools in literacy we are sharing with you, and you have other tools in literacy that probably you're going to be very enriching for us. So, but in order to do that, in order for those tools to be, effective, um, this isolation had to turn into three main things. One is the acknowledgement that isolation was happening and that we were teaching in a very challenging scenario. The other one is that the result of the strategies we were sharing had to be relevant and grounded. It cannot, not everything works for everybody, and actually you have to contextualize what you're going to do. And then there has to have an ulterior goal that I think we shared with Global Dream, and that would be that to affect or inform the people that are doing the making the decisions on public policy. So so that is everything we have done. That is what we have, the opportunities, how we have been able or have been trying to turn the challenges into opportunities during COVID 2020. So just to end, I'm gonna wait for Anupama to come back. Just to wrap this up, it's like okay, what is the aftermath? What happens after? What happens in 2021? Technology has helped us a lot to bring isolation to catalyst pedagogical change, but actually, again, technology um, cannot work for every mean and cannot work for every scenario. And one of the examples for that relating to literacy is that what does, for example, digital books do to children? Uh, do for them, basically, not harm them, but do for them. And that brings us to our last investigation about why did the children here in Uruguay, we offered a very important digital library nationwide, and actually the children were not exactly reading them. So we started investigating, and the NGO, why was that? What we have found out is, first, in the first round of investigation, was that they preferred to read paper to digital books 4-1. So so why did they? Oh, we are back with a presentation. That's great. So maybe we can move on in the presentation until we see. I don't know if you recognize this picture. That it's a picture from the Little Prince from Saint Antoine-Exupéry. Maybe we can go down where you see kind of like a hat, but it's actually a boa conscriptor that ate an elephant. Anupama, maybe we can move the slides. There we go, until slide number 23, please. And with this,
Still
I will.
downloading actually.
Okay, great. This is a great picture.
Still
I like
downloading.
this drawing a lot. Okay, okay. I like
Yeah, this
this
one.
one a
Okay,
lot.
this one, right?
Yes, that one, that one. I don't know if you're aware of the Little Prince, and this is a phrase of Maria Montessori that I like a lot. And look at me, look at the children. And actually, this picture always, I have it always on my mind, because a lot of times we adults, we design a solution, we share with the children, and we make them use it. And when they're not using it, we are like, why you are not using it? You need to use it. And when the teachers are not using them, from a policy making point of view, we make it mandatory, when it's the worst scenario, because then we lose sight of what it's really going on, of why they're not using it. So I like the boa conscriptor, and actually part of the story when it says that adults don't understand it, we need to explain everything to them. And basically this happened a little bit with this digital national library, where we designed and we put a lot of digital books there, but actually the children were not reading them. So we started investigating why it was that. And first of all, if there really was a difference in the format that actually make a difference, if it was the same to offer them physical to digital books, or if there was actually a difference for them. And what they said was like, totally, there is a difference for us. We prefer 4-to-1 reading paper than in digital. And so what we started, we can go to the next slide. We started looking at was like, why is that? And we found out different things, but basically one main thing was that they enjoy it more, they understand it better. When they are at the first stages of reading, the connection with the book and with the person that is reading is absolutely pivotal, not only for the learning, but for the future relationship of that child with reading as a long life, activity they would like to do. And though it's cost effective, it's much more complicated, because if you do it digital, it will go, to all of the country, and physical, it will take other logistical and financial challenges. If we don't do that, if we don't give physical books to children, the equity we are trying to achieve actually turns around on us and deepens the gap. Oh, sorry. So it deepens the gap between the children that have access to physical books to the children that don't. So that was a very big lesson to us. Now we are working on generating awareness of this, because the intention of the digital books is good. But actually, if they only receive digital books, we are strengthening and deepening the gap between the children that are more culturally vulnerable than the ones that they have a family that supports them and buy the books and generate learning environments inside of the home. So just two examples. So we created and we are enforcing a project called the Book Pack. You can find it in the bookpack.org. And I have a 1-minute clip to share with you our intention with this. So technology has been fantastic for us. It has been fantastic for teachers and for learners. But again, look at the picture of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry and watch and be aware of how the children react to technology, to opportunities, to teaching and learning, because a lot of times what they're actually making us see is that what we are offering actually is not the best for them. So if we can see this little 1-minute clip, that would be fantastic. So you will have a better idea of sometimes how innovation actually doesn't mean technology or expensive gadgets or complicated software, but actually just to be creative with the human resources that we have. And Papa, do you think we can share that clip?
Yeah, the video which you sent.
Well, if it's too complicated, maybe they can um, look it afterwards in the bookpack.org. If it's we are having connection challenges.
In a backpack, you can find books that are keys that open doors, and doors that open roads that become bridges that connect the history with the future, our roots to new possibilities, and unleash oceans of knowledge. They link commitment and dreams between us all, for us all. We at Educate Uruguay want all children to have that opportunity. Each mobile library brings backpacks with hundreds of books so that isolated communities can renew stories, knowledge, and create new beginnings. In 3 years, with 10 libraries, we reached 6,500 students in 400 rural schools in Uruguay, but it's percent of the total. We need your help so that where there's a child, there's a book. They wear a book bag. The Book Bag Library, an Educate Uruguay initiative. We tell good stories. We count on you.
Yeah. So sorry about the technical glitch. I think there is huge internet problem today.
Yes, I think there is a problem with the speed of the
Cecilia, are
internet
you
that is
there?
not allow us. Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I hear you.
Yeah, yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So anything else you would like to tell the audience, please, Cecilia? Yeah. Like to say something?
No, no, no. I think we covered all, and I'm very sorry about the technical issue. I hope that the presentation could help someone to um, get new ideas of what can be done, and of course, we are totally open for any questions, or if you want to reach out. Our website is educate.uy, and you can. Uh, Take a look at there, or at Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. So if you're interested in learning more about what we do, or if you would like to share what you do, we would love to learn about it. So I think we keep having technical problems. So I think the best would be maybe to wrap up and to um, find another way to continue the conversation. So, again, if you want to contact us, please do. Our website is educate.uy, and you can find us in Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and also at Instagram. And remember, if you want to take a look also at the video, It's in thebookpack.org and in English. And of course, you can also find it in Spanish. And Upama, I really hope we can say goodbye. I hope internet give us that opportunity. Well, if not, it's been a pleasure to be here with you today, and hope we can continue this conversation in the future.